Can't you learn? Haven't you got any sense? Think before you speak. Why can't you just talk to me? Why don't you pay attention? Why didn't you answer me? Look at me when I'm speaking to you. These are the sounds of ignorance, and they're everywhere. These are the sounds of nervous people in the face of difference. These are the sounds of people who can't make sense of the jam jar until it has a label. The label of this jam jar is autism. The definition of autism is a love-hate relationship with yourself. And that's me and my brother. But this is like permanent smile that's just stuck on, not connected inside. And that's different to when they make me in their world and they take all my patterns out and just want this. Then it's not connected. And that's me and Paul. And we're touching feet and we're making the ground go him and us, him and you. Because I was before just me in my world, and now together with somebody else, I can be like in my world, but with someone else. And not always just have the choice of tear up your real self and then be in the world with the world people. There's many components to autism. Autism is not one thing. It is an emotional hypersensitivity problem. It can be an information processing problem. It can be a total withdrawal into yourself where the whole world is replaced and made redundant, and you have every relationship with your own self that you could have with people in the world, and they don't matter anymore. Nobody nowhere is a person who lives in their own world, who has that social world in there where they make everything outside of themselves is redundant and all replaced and all self-contained. And to the point where it doesn't matter, there is no sense of where and there is no sense of who. There just is. And that can be a nobody nowhere. And sometimes people live in there in fear, not in freedom. You can visit in freedom, but if you're compelled to live there, then you live there in fear. And that's the poem of Nobody Nowhere. In a room without windows, in the company of shadows, you know they won't forget you, they'll take you in. Emotionally shattered, don't ask if it mattered, don't let that upset you, just start again. In a world under glass, you can watch the world pass, and nobody can touch you. You think you're safe. But the wind can blow cold in the depths of your soul where you think nothing can hurt you till it's too late. Run till you drop, do you know how to stop? All the people walk right past you, you wave goodbye. And they all merely smiled, for you looked like a child, never thought that they'd upset you. They saw you cry. So take advice, don't question the experts. Don't think twice or you just might listen. Run and hide to the corners of your mind, alone, like a nobody nowhere. It says, in a room without windows, the room is the mind, and it has no windows. When you're that self-contained, you don't see out anymore. In the company of shadows is all those, the parent of yourself, in yourself. You can't go and sit with these people. You can't really feel in life with these shadow people that's in you, in your relationship to yourself. That you took a whole world and create all those relationships in you. And says, you know they won't forget you, they'll take you in. So the hypnotism of it the grab, the grip that turns you in there to go and be with shadows in a room without windows, is that when it's all turmoil out there, that has no turmoil in there, there will never be any rejection. There'll never be any looking for, is this all right? Do I fit in? Is everything safe? Because in there, there's none of that. You totally just go.
Oh, look at this. It's like a world. It's really good.
That's what the people once told me was a fish tank. And I said, what's this? And they said it's a fish tank, and I was looking. I couldn't understand that the fish could live in the bottle. Fish not here.
Not here.
Chips. It's chips. Oh no, not chips. Because the chips would stay in the car and the car would get hot. So not chips. And then whoa. Look at this. Look at him.
Smell. Good.
Look at him. It's got all swimming bits. That's a very green smell.
Nice.
That's a very green smell.
At the supermarket, it's hard to stay on track. From the moment I get in the door, there's the sounds, movements, smells, shapes, colours, shadow and shine from all directions, all hitting me all at once. And these special tinted Erlen lenses cut down this bombardment to about 10 different things in 3 seconds, but it's still more than most people have to handle. The sounds of the people's shoes on the ground, and all the pinging of the trolley metal, and the jumble of all their intertwined blah blah, and all the different toned hums of all the refrigerators all compete at the same time for attention with what's being seen. As I pass the shelves, my eyes scan everything without processing what it is, what it's for, or why it's there. So my mind gets flooded with this big array of contrasts at a pace that's much too fast for my conscious mind to process at that moment. And as I walk away from each place, the impressions of the last one are still caught in my head. And so to constantly remind myself, don't touch, don't smell, don't lick, don't squeeze, don't crinkle, don't grab, don't stare, don't put that in the trolley, and don't, then it's like a really big battle all the time. It's like giving the child a box of sweets and then saying, don't eat them. Is that a lot of people think that there's only one way of thinking, but I don't think that there's one way of thinking. I think that there's all different ways of thinking. And I think like if you had 3 people like these, and you look and you see, oh yeah, like that's a person, that's a person. So then you assume that they've all got the same kind of thinking, but the thinking that if this is the non-autistic person,
if information comes into them, they can kind of like walk through life at a reasonable pace and take in the information and spit it back out. And this one I'd maybe call an autistic person. And him is kind of like a bit wobbly and it's not so easy. Sometimes he can like deal with the information and sometimes he just can't deal with it because it's too many different channels coming in all at once. And this one maybe will see the table and it sees the lines and the colour and it hears the sound and it feels the surface, but maybe just thinks, oh yeah, that's that big square lines flat thud thing, and maybe not go further and think, oh yeah, that equals table, and maybe not go further and think, oh yeah, that's for putting the things on. So then this one lives in the same world as this one, and when they look at each other, they sometimes don't see all this on them. So this one says, go put the dinner on the table, and all it is just all sounds, because to him he's weighed by this. He doesn't maybe always quickly make the sounds into then words, and the words then into the pictures, and the pictures then mean to do with the doing. It's not always just goes like that, just because it's for him, his thinking reality. So maybe he says, go put dinner on the table, and this one just stands there. He says, take the plate to the table, and he's just holding the plate. And he says, you must be stupid. You're not intelligent. I learned the different sounds that the things made. I learned the different textures that the things made. I learned the different sound back that told me if the things had bounce or if they didn't, how they impact that they bring back to you. And that was what I called the system of sensing. So I didn't need to interpret, and interpretation was, like, to me, redundant. So all the world of words is part of the system of interpretation. But then they kept insisting to use this system. Answer me with words. Look at me when I'm speaking to you. Go and do this, come and do that. And always trying to make me go by a system that involves making meaning all the time. And this created in me a war. So I decided that the only safe place was inside of myself, because all this was foreign and invading.
If you ask me, Donna, did you have lots of things back behind your conscious awareness that were overwhelming and you couldn't reason them through and you couldn't put them all together and you couldn't see the whole picture? I would say, yes, I was totally caught up in every moment. I never ever got the whole picture. I never got the whole picture of me. I never got the whole picture of who I was yesterday, who I am today, where I'm going to be tomorrow. I never got the whole picture of even a whole day or who anyone was in relation to anybody else. And so that is a huge turmoil inside of a person. You've got to find a way eventually to put it all together. Otherwise you keep running, try to keep running away from all the turmoil. And what happened was I just got a typewriter, and then once it was on the table and I put one page in, all of it just came out. And I was just sitting there, my fingers going, and I'm reading it as it's coming out at me, and that's when it's telling me what's in me. So it wasn't really that I talked to the pages of my books. It was that my pages of my books, from here, out here, back through my eyes, talked to me. And I listened, very big. So it's kind of like learning about life through writing my life out. And then I got it all in a book. Like many people can't understand life and they read it in textbooks. Well, this was the textbook that came from my own life out there. I read it, I said, oh my God, I'm going to take care of myself now. I just thought, now that I own it, now that it's in my hands and I know what I've lived, I'm never going to let it all get out of control like that again. butterflies hung from all sorts of places. Some were wooden ones with eyes painted on their backs. Some were lace and some were skeletons that had had all their butterfly dust paint come off. Some were in the leaves, like me when I'm sleeping, except my leaf is made of cloth and it doesn't crackle. There were plants in the butterfly place and dead bananas. The butterflies were drinking out the guts of the bananas. Some had boggledy eyes made of honeycomb shapes that were all put together like a good sculpture. Can you see me? He's got very big... Is that his eyes like a fly eye? Like all mesh?
Yes, but it's not, I don't think that's a real eye. I think that's a pretend eye and his real eyes are on the end of his stalks.
Oh.
Or maybe he's got end of his stalks pick up the vibrations and they are real eyes. Maybe, I don't know.
He's got all like a skeleton but no skin.
Touched. And the clear bits.
I can see rain.
There's no powder dust. All held in little holes in his wings. When you blow on his wings, you can blow the powder out, so it's just got clear wings.
Like on there's some crayons that paint, and if you put them on something and then you go...
They all blow away, that's what his wings are made of.
Oh, you touch it and the picture's gone. That's the same. Wow, he's gonna fall.
He won't fall. He just moved.
I guess he wouldn't fall, because if he fell, he would fly.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a hippie.
Tina Turner.
He's a Tina Turner.
Tina Turner mum.
Yeah. They're all living in there, them. And they all come from different places. See, in him, he's all got metallic shine coming out, and he's clear with all his spots on the surface, not inside at all. His brothers would all be like not have colours in them, just contrast. And he's from a big extended family of ones that have colours in them. Everybody knows who they are in relatedness to everybody else. There's no muddy water there. No muddy water. All the water's clear. What if the knowing really scares you? What if the knowing doesn't give you a good knowing? What if the knowing doesn't tell you that you have a cousin or that you have a brother or that you are in a related solar system? What if the knowing tells you that you're him and you're not at all related at all to anybody, and that the best that you can do is to be an imposter in the other solar system or the other planets? Then the knowing of everyone's relationship to everyone else and is, I think, not always good. Unless he likes to travel. He might like to travel. Just Mr. Chaos. Mr. Chaos. Even tries to toggles. Must be desperate. Because the toggles are so far removed from him. Mr. Chaos. Ow! 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 Some are getting away. I think it's too fast. I would throw out at the people in the television. In the world of television. I'd have to make this from the inside out, because the people usually when they make something about autism, they do it from an outside-in approach. they start with their own perspective. Like, let's say that him, if he's the person with autism, then when they make the documentary, all these people who, they all say, you know, we understand, we've read all these textbooks, and we understand about autism, and we are much more reasonable people than many people, and we're not ignorant, and we treat people as equals, and that's an outside-in approach. So everyone all goes from their own perspective out from out here, and they all see everything through their textbooks. And in him, he has his own system, and it's not an infantile version of their system, because it's maybe been 10 years, 20 years that this big tree in him has grown. And so then in them, they haven't learned his system, even if him moving in their world has learned some of their system like a second language. So who are they to say, oh, we've read a textbook from somebody who looked at lots of people like you from the outside, and then they bring all their questions, what they think's relevant, what they think might speak this one's reality. But this is an inside-out approach to making a documentary. So he says, hold on a minute, you've never lived my system, you don't know my reality from the inside, I'll have to show you what it is, and then you just have to work out how to put it in the camera or in the sound. But you can't start with what you assume is happening in me. We know people who are diagnosed with autism and Asperger's syndrome who are teachers, who are psychologists, who even diagnose other people with autism, who are running newsletters for people like themselves, who drive, some are married, some have got very responsible positions. One is got even a pilot's license. So this whole thing of autism is always a disability. It's always in varying degrees. One of the things that's really important to me is that I am not a spokesperson for every person with autism. I might be able to tell you the system because it's a similar system to my system or parallel with my system. But if you really want to understand, there he is. It's Tommy you want to know about. You try not to be an outsider. Try to put aside your own assumptions. Try to put aside your own system of making sense of things, and try for an instant not to impose some imagined system on him, but try like maybe a anthropologist to see what might be his system here. If he does that and he does that, I wonder if those two things are related. Is that part of the same system, or does that help him cope with something else? Is this to do with how he copes with his feelings, and this is how he copes with where to remember, like to put this and this together? Is this how he copes with when people come to the house, these particular systems? Or is one of this, oh, that's over there, that's one that he uses for that? And you can eventually build up your own picture. You don't have to go to someone else and say, give me the textbook. Everybody can be an anthropologist if they just take their own reality and for a moment stick it in their back pocket and start from scratch, and not say, oh, such a lot of hard work. Well, if your child is 5, so what? Maybe in 20 years you've got somewhere. You won't maybe grasp the whole system as if it was yours, but you probably grasp more than if you sat there stubbornly thinking you'll know him from some textbook that some non-autistic academic wrote with a whole load of assumptions. You might get further to write your own textbook from the person that you really want to know about, is my thinking.